Hi, I'm Yutaka, and I'm here with Troy Iwata, and we're doing Convo with Fango, and we're going to talk about his newest film, Summoning Sylvia. How are you today?
I'm doing great this morning. How are you?
Great. I will be honest, I've watched this like three times already, because it's really funny. So, for those of all who don't know, can you give me just like a quick overview of what this story is about?
Yeah, Summoning Sylvia is a queer comedy, and we've been advertising it as a queer horror comedy, but I say it's more spooky than scary. There's just like little creepy vibes, but that's kind of it. It's mostly a comedy, and it follows four best friends going to a haunted house for a bachelor party, and while they're there, they think it would be fun to try and summon the murderous ghost that apparently still resides there. And then just to add more hijinks in there, also the groom's future brother-in-law, who is a ex-military, very heterosexual man, also tags along for this very gay bachelor party. So it's a
Yeah.
formula for a lot of fun.
Well, I should also tell you, like growing up, you don't do seances. I don't mess with Ouija boards, any of that. So I will give you that. That part freaks me out because I'm like, ooh, that's just bad. You're asking for trouble.
Hmm.
But what I loved is when you guys were doing that, you're correct. The comedy, like the one-liners, and honestly, I mean, like Frankie Grande goes all in with his physicality.
Hmm.
But more importantly, I just had to call that out because it was funny. But I freaking love that this is just incredibly queer. That
Hmm.
is my favorite thing. And so to be able to put this out there, what does that mean to you?
I think it has such a it feels really important, but it also feels very refreshing and not. I feel like nowadays, representation is so important, which is completely valid. But I do think
Yes.
that sometimes because of that, certain things come out, and it's very evident that representation is the main purpose of certain projects, and
Hmm.
because of that, it feels forced. It feels heavy-handed. Um, not That's not to take away from the quality that the qualities that it brings, but I do feel like at the end of the day, our creators and directors, Alex Weiss and Wes Taylor, they really just wrote a really lovely story about four best friends getting into some, like, shenanigans, and who all just happen to be gay and very out and proud. And I think because of that, we've created a really hilarious and heartwarming movie that is for everyone. And I will honestly say that, like, all of my gay friends really love this movie. All of my straight friends love this movie to a point where I was like, oh, okay, thank you.
Well, the one-liners, I just have to know, did you guys improv any of those lines? Because I was cackling and I did not expect to. I was like chuckling, but I had some like wheezy laughs. That's how great like certain scenes were.
I think actually that's a credit to the writers, because we did improvise, but watching the final product, not a lot of those made it in there because they're
Okay.
just they're just that funny. And you're right about Frankie. Frankie steals the movie in my opinion. He's my favorite part.
He did. But I think you all had moments to shine. I mean, without spoiling, I mean, you got to have a little cute romance as well that I think
Mhm.
was the lead up to it was just really funny because it was the will they won't they.
Uh-huh.
And I really appreciated that back and forth.
Yeah, and we had to cram a lot of those tiny moments because it's a short movie and it moves really fast. So we had to.
Yeah, the pacing, like that's why when it was over, I was like, it's over. What? I kind
Yeah.
of want more. Um, one of the things that I am also curious about, just making this film, and again, there were some creepy elements, but I really did appreciate the secondary story as well. And I'd just
Mhm.
be curious, seeing that play out too in the final cut. How did you feel about that?
Seeing the whole brother-in-law storyline. Is that what you're
Oh,
talking about?
actually, too. Oh, shoot. Yes, the brother-in-law, and then also the Sylvia part, because that storyline was also very that was a
Hmm.
good twist. I really appreciated that.
Yeah. I remember talking to Alex and Wes, and they said they purposefully didn't want to write a movie where a bunch of gay guys just get killed. So that's why no one dies in our movie, and it ends
I
on a
appreciate
happy
that.
note. Yeah, I appreciated that as well. And yeah, I think they really made something really new and refreshing. I think that, you know, the queer community has always been very attracted to the horror genre and the scary
Hmm.
genre, and I think because usually it involves some form of an outsider character, whether that's the villain or the hero. So I feel like we can relate to those emotions and those feelings. Um, the fun thing about our movie is that the outsider is the straight person, and
I loved it
so
too.
they flipped the script a little bit. I think it's so fun, but also what they were so smart about, and also Nick Logan, the actor, was really smart about his approach to the character. Was at the end of the day, it was all about just a misunderstanding and a lack of knowledge and a little bit of ignorance. It never really
Hmm.
truly came from a place of hate, because at the end of the day, he still showed up to the bachelor party because his brother asked him to. And
Exactly. That, like, immediately that was my first thought is, you know, you four were, I'm like, you guys are kind of overreacting because he, like you said, he's showing up. But it was that overreaction and the lack of communication that really just, again, it was a fun ride. And so that
mm,
was it was nice to see queer characters just not be your typical tropes.
mhm.
They each felt like they had a personality added to the film. And then even Nick Logan's character, he, by the end of it, also, like, it was really good.
Hmm. And I think that all of us had definitely had traces of certain gay stereotypes. I mean, you look at Frankie and he's like a very flamboyant person, right? But what we were allowed to do in this movie is flesh them out and make them fully three-dimensional characters, which I don't think we get to do very often. I mean, like I've been working as a gay actor for around 10 years now, and the amount of times that I auditioned for a sassy gay office assistant is kind of astounding. So this was very refreshing and fun.
Well, and even with Frankie being so overly flamboyant, like, he took charge. Like, and
Yes.
you don't normally see that with that stereotype in a sense. And that's why I really loved it. And then again, the physicality when that happened, I was just like, oh, because full disclosure, I looked at the cast list and I'm like, hmm. And then I watched the movie. I'm like, I got to take that back because holy, I floored. Because the seance scenes with everybody, just how you all reacted differently in that, it's a trip.
I think they were so smart, and I feel like I don't know if they really did do this, but I was getting like Golden Girl dynamics from everybody. So I was like, there's a perfect balance of like every different color of person, you know.
I can totally see oh man, that's really fun. Now I'm like, who's the Sophia?
Right, right. I think that was me. I don't
That's awesome. How long did it take to actually shoot this movie?
We shot the whole thing in 19 days. It was really fast. And we shot it at an old house in Jersey in the middle of June. It was Pride Week. And we shot night for day or day for night shots. So we were in an old unair conditioned house with trash bags covering all the windows. So it was easily 110 degrees in that house. So there
Oh
are
my
certain
god.
scenes actually where you can see beads of sweat coming down, and I think we tried to play it off like we're scared, but we were legitimately sweating. It was so hot. And yeah, Vianne Cox, who plays Sylvia, I remember on our last day we were filming that final scene, and she's in like a high necked, thick
Yeah.
black Victorian floor length thing. And it was one of the hottest days of the summer, and we all had little fans in our pocket. So as soon as they would yell cut, we'd all run up to Vianne and just like start fanning her, because we were like, this woman is too hot, this is not healthy.
And also, you guys, I think you just had a really good premiere at, well, several festivals, but Overlook to be one. And I think you guys just held a screening with Jackie Cox.
Yeah.
How was
That was
that?
super fun. It was so fun. And honestly, most of us have live or have lived in New York too. So when we saw that Jackie was being the moderator, we were like, "Oh, we know Jackie. We've seen her around." Like, so it was like, hey, it was still very fun. Yeah, we had a very short week long theatrical release in like 20 theaters across the country. So, it makes sense that not a lot of people were able to see us. But
I,
it was still great.
I'm pretty sure, like, this is what baffles, or not this amazes me, and I'm very thankful. But even in St. Louis, we'll have a theater that will grab all these like smaller titles, and even if it's just one showing, I'm like, I
Mhm.
love that and I appreciate that, because honestly, independent cinema is one of my favorites because you get to meet new filmmakers or artists. And so a bunch of you I was unaware of, but I was just like, I need to find what else you all are doing, because I was hooked.
Oh, thank
And
you.
I think making a movie like this, as you said, I think almost, yeah, I'd say it's groundbreaking, because even though it's 2023, there was a lot of representation, but it didn't feel, like you said, forced. And so,
Hmm.
um, if you could, I'm just curious if there could be a sequel. And I say that in terms of just kind of being humorous. Like,
Yeah.
what if it could be like on the honeymoon or like a
Uh,
friend's trip afterwards? How would you
yeah.
see that play out?
Honestly, I've talked about this and I was like, I don't know if I would necessarily do a sequel, but I
Okay.
would do like a summoning trilogy where it's all in the same universe, but they're like
Stop.
different. We're summoning different people with different people, and then we can make like cameos in the other movies, because
Oh,
it's
I
all,
love that.
you know what I mean? Because
I
I just
really
love the idea of like summoning Sylvia and then we like summoning Diana and then summoning, like, just put a different woman's name in there. I think that's super fun.
I love that. And I guess one of the other questions I have, again, there are, I would say, glimpses of horror within this, but I have to say, because the horror community is just always so accepting, the horror community, I mean, there's a really great documentary, but it's always been pretty much queer in a sense in its roots. So
Mhm.
I'm just curious, what are some of your favorite horror films?
You know what? When I think back to the ones that it's the ones that I like watched when I was a kid. I don't Do you remember a movie called The Uninvited with Elizabeth Banks?
Oh gosh, you're gonna make me feel old when you say when I was a kid. Oh my goodness. Yes, I remember that.
For some reason, the for some reason the twist of that had my jaw on the floor in high school, and I like I rented it like 10 times and was like, "Have you not seen The Uninvited? Oh my God, you're never gonna see the twist coming." And everyone, of course, everyone did. It's like super obvious except for me because I was stupid.
I love that. Oh, to be able to be young and rent videos like that,
Yeah, yeah. It could also
perusing
just
the
because it
horror
was
section, and
yeah, Elizabeth Banks being like a slutty, scary stepmom. I think that's maybe what was working for me.
I mean, she did kind of serve in her looks.
Yeah, she was just bombshell in that movie.
No, I totally agree. Well, my final question then is really, what's next for you then?
Um, I That's a really great question. Uh, I shot a movie last fall that I think is coming out this year. I don't know. It's called Space Cadet. I have a very small part in it, but it's a what they're describing it as Legally Blonde in space. So that's a pretty high bar that they're setting for themselves. But we
But
had
I'll
a
still
good we
watch
had a
it.
good time. Yeah, we had a good time, and it's starring Emma Roberts. And we shot it in
Sold.
Alabama.
I'm
Yeah, and
sold.
I've always wanted to travel for work, so going to Alabama was just a treat. Uh,
Not good. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I will tell you, I've been to Alabama a couple times, but I was also a kid, and I'll fully say I was that nerd who went to space camp for like a
sure.
week and stayed there. Like, yeah, but traveling
Like
for,
in Huntsville, Alabama.
yeah,
Yeah, that's where we're shooting.
stop it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was a really fun time. And here's the thing. Okay, I take that back. I have nothing against Alabama. I will say though that like going to Huntsville, it was really amazing how much of the United States looks like the United States because I was fully expecting. I was like, oh, I was expecting it to look a little more southern, and I was like, this looks like California where I like grew up. Like this,
It's
yeah,
pretty, yeah, it's been a while since I've been back there, but that's pretty awesome. Well,
yeah.
uh, again, to all those watching, Summoning Sylvia, it's out. You really need to check it out. It's freaking hysterical. I can think of like several scenes, but they're spoilerish. But they are really just it's you guys worked so well together. And yeah, it's just amazing. So thank you for taking the time to let me speak to you about this film. Really means a lot.
Thank you so much for meeting me and letting us talk about it. And everyone should ever make sure to watch it with your friends.